Grise Fiord. Grise Fiord is an Inuit hamlet on the southern tip of Ellesmere Island in the Qikiqtaaluk Region, Nunavut, Canada. It is one of 3 populated places on the island. Despite its low population, 144 residents as of the 2021 Canadian census, it is the largest community and only public community on Ellesmere Island. The hamlet at Grise Fiord, created by the Canadian government in 1953 through a relocation of Inuit families from Inukjuak, Quebec, is the northernmost public community in Canada. It is also one of the coldest inhabited places in the world, with an average yearly temperature of creation. This community and that of Resolute was created by the Canadian government in 1953, partly to assert sovereignty in the high Arctic during the Cold War. 8 Inuit families from Inukjuak, Quebec and the Angava Peninsula were relocated after being promised homes and game to hunt, but the relocated people discovered no buildings and very little familiar wildlife. They were told that they would be returned home after a year if they wished, but this offer was later withdrawn, for it would have damaged Canada's claims to sovereignty in the area. The Inuit were forced to stay. Eventually, the Inuit learned the local beluga whale migration routes and were able to survive in the area, hunting it over a range of each year. In 1993, the Canadian government held hearings to investigate the relocation program. The Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples issued a report entitled The High Arctic Relocation, a report on the 1953-55 relocation, recommending a settlement. The government paid CAD $10 million to the survivors and their families, and gave a formal apology in 2010. In 2009, artist and Grise Fiord resident Lucy Pijamini was commissioned by Nunavut Incorporated to build a monument to commemorate the Inuit who sacrificed so much as a result of the government's forced relocation program of 1953 and 1955. Pijamini's monument, located in Grise Fiord, depicts a woman with a young boy and a husky, with the woman somberly looking out towards Resolute Bay. Qikiqtaaluk's monument, located in Resolute, depicts a lone man looking towards Grise Fiord. This was meant to show separated families and depicting them longing to see each other again. The Grise Fiord monument was unveiled by John Duncan, at the time Minister of Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development and Federal Interlocutor for Métis and Non-Status Indians, on September 10, 2010. Grise Fiord was the location for a 1995 BBC documentary entitled Billy Connolly, a Scot in the Arctic, in which the comedian Billy Connolly camped alone for a week on the pack ice near to the community, armed with a rifle to protect him from polar bears. Geography. Located at the southern tip of Ellesmere Island, Grise Fiord is one of 3 permanent inhabited places on the island. Further north on the island, Environment Canada has a permanent weather station at Eureka, and at Alert there is a permanent Canadian Forces Base CFS Alert and Weather Station. Grise Fiord lies north of the Arctic Circle and is the northernmost civilian community in Canada. Grise Fiord is cradled by the Arctic Cordillera mountain range. Demographics. In the 2021 Canadian census conducted by Statistics Canada, Grise Fiord had a population of 144 living in 58 of its 64 total private dwellings, a change of 129 from its 2016 population of 129. With a land area of, it had a population density of in 2021. Community and fjord names. Just to the north of the community is the actual fjord, Grise Fiord. It means pig inlet in Norwegian. Authors further up from Norway named it so during an expedition around 1900 because he thought the walrus in the area sounded like pigs. The Inukjuak name is, which means place that never thaws. Living conditions. The houses are wooden and built on platforms to cope with the freezing and thawing of the permafrost. Hunting is still an important part of the lifestyle of the mostly Inuit population. Quota systems allow the villagers to supply many of their needs from populations of seals, walruses, narwhal and beluga whales, polar bears, and muskox. Ecotourism is developing as people come to see the northern wildlife found on Ellesmere and surrounding islands. Transportation. There are no connecting roads on Ellesmere Island, so Grise Fiord is connected to the rest of the world by a small airstrip, Grise Fiord Airport, in length. Surrounded by mountains, it is one of the most difficult approaches for aircraft. It is cautioned that only very experienced pilots of Pilatus PC-12, DHC-6 Twin Otter, and DHC-7 aircraft attempt the approach. For local travel needs, the villagers use all-terrain vehicles in the summer and snowmobiles in the winter. During the winter months, travel is limited to the town site and a small patch of land to the east called Nunavut due to mountains and ice fields that cut the town off from the rest of the island. Small boats are used in summer to reach hunting grounds or hunting sea mammals on the ocean. Once a year, a large ship sea lift arrive with supplies and fuel. Economy, development, and sustainability. The local cooperative is the main place to purchase supplies. There are local guide and outfitting operations, which are an important source of income for many families. Carving, traditional clothing, and other Inuit crafts are also important sources of income. Due to the extreme location, the economy is subsistence-based. Because of the potential for avalanches and falling rocks from mountains, there is no room for expansion. Communications. In 1970, Bell Canada established what was then the world's most northerly telephone exchange, operated since 1992 by Northwestall. It is in the 867 area code, formerly 819 before October 1997, with its only exchange code of 980. The community has been served by the Qikiqtaaluk network since 2005. Qikiqtaaluk is a fixed wireless service to homes and businesses, connecting to the outside world via a satellite backbone. The Qikiqtaaluk network is designed and operated by SSI Micro. In 2017, the network was upgraded to 4G LTE technology and 2G GSM for mobile voice. In 2019, Bell Mobility became available to Grise Fiord. Crime and safety. A Simon Fraser University study of Royal Canadian Mounted Police RCMP activity in the Baffin region states that Grise Fiord had the lowest rate of criminal offences of all communities examined in 1992, and cites a 1994 Statistics Canada survey that gives the highest perception of personal safety. Climate. Grise Fiord has a tundra climate with very short but cool summers and long, cold winters lasting almost the entire year.